Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. And look at this moon. Joe says, you should have a background with the moon. So I went and I found a great picture. And so the full moon. Though we only have about a half of a moon right outside right now. But look at all these people are in here. Yay. I hope you're having a good night. And I apologize that I usually have my live on Monday night at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, but we have family in town. My sister and her husband are here. My aunt and uncle are here. And my dad said, dinner is at 5 o'clock. I have live at 6 o'clock. No, dinner is at 5 o'clock. So I just moved things around. So I appreciate all you guys coming in. And Charmaine, you are not late. We are just starting. And I watched a little bit of the Vineyard Chicks live stream that they had tonight. So Bunky is over here. And there's just all kinds of you in here already. I mean, Bunky was my very first comment. And she says, I'm here, Miss Sandi. And Sarah is already in bed. So please tell Sarah that we are thinking about her and that she is obviously working way too hard. and Angie is in here. So Ange girl, how are you? And I'm just scrolling through everybody. And Charmaine had come in and asked if she was late, but she is not late. And Dorothy is here too. So I'm glad you guys have popped in. Sarah's having to get up early to get to work because of the snowstorms. It takes her a lot more time to get to and from work because of that. Crazy snowstorms. Seriously crazy. All across the Midwest, over into the East Coast, the West Coast. It's just snowing everywhere. Not here in Yuma, Arizona, though. Today actually was a really perfect day. No wind, sunshiny, and I sat out and I'm studying this one Apple book. And after a while, I had to move out of the sun. I thought, it is way too hot here. And it was probably, I don't know, not quite 70, but it was just the way the sun was hitting, and it was very nice outside. And Teresa is in here. Hello, Unmanned Urban Homestead. I love that, how she changed that title. Oh, Bunky says it's raining. Very muddy. That's what it gets it, when it rains and rains and rains in Wyoming. When we first bought our house, we didn't have any grass or anything. And you'd go out there with your boots and you come back and there'd be like an inch and a half of muck stuck to the bottom of your boots. But it's way better now. Angie says she's not staying. She's going to bed. Ange, I love you. Thanks for stopping by. And Doug is here. Hey, Doug, how are you? I saw you had a pop-up live today. Sorry, I didn't see it until later. So that was kind of exciting. All of a sudden, pop-up live. Just shaking it up a little bit, Doug. But today we're going to talk about, it's 1 month closer to starting our spring gardens. And one of the other reasons why I have a moon up here is because I want to know if any of you plant according to the moon. I mean, if you go into the Farmer's Almanac, it'll tell you about planting with the moon. And there's a lot of old farmers that always planted by the moon cycles. And there's a lot of people that do it still today. So that was just one of those things. I wondered if there's anybody in the chat that plants by the moon. They plant certain things when it's a full moon, certain things when it's a dark moon, things like that. I just wondered if there's anything. Oh, and Doug says, let me see if I can find that again. It was nothing, just testing my setup. Oh, okay. So then I didn't miss anything. Okay. That almanac is wrong for us this year. Well, who expected all this rain and all this snow? I mean, storm after storm after storm. You think it's just, you just got all those piles cleared off, and here comes the storm again. But I'm excited, because here we have our gardens in Arizona. But when I come back, we go back to Wyoming, I will just beginning the new gardening season. KK, hello, how are ya? She says, sorry I'm late. No, we just barely started. Seriously. It said it was to be dry. We're 120% over our yearly water and still getting more. Crazy, huh? Hi, Diane. How are ya? Doug, thank you very much. That always helps with our analytics, and it's always sweet of you guys to give me a thumbs up too. Dry winter, my rear end. Well, things happen. Weather patterns change, It's always interesting. And Ann Dale is even here. Hey, Ann, how are you? Now, Ann has a live Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock my time. So that would be 11 o'clock Eastern time. So always check out Ann too. Doug's lives are always Sunday night, 5 o'clock my time, Mountain Standard Time. So we're going to talk tonight about what we're going to do this spring. You don't have to plant by the moon. You can just have your schedule, when your frost-free dates are, what you can plant before that, what you plant after that, what things can you plant inside, and what things can I plant here in Arizona to take it back to Wyoming. Because those are things I have to start thinking about right now. Because we have, tomorrow's the last day of February, and then we're into March. So that means I have to start chitting potatoes. I have to see if there's anything that I'm going to plant that it takes a long season. And so I need to plant that early. Besides, do all my gardens that are down here. I just gave my sister a tour of my gardens when she got down here. And tomorrow night, we are grilling Brussels sprouts, beets, bok choy. We'll have some Swiss chard from my garden in the salads. And so it's just going to be this healthy, fabulous. And we're going to have fish and rice. So it should be so yummy. And Tanya is here. Hello, how are you? I hope I didn't miss anybody. Vineyard Chicks are here. And everybody's saying hi to everybody. And you know how I like that. So are there seeds down here that I'm saving that I want to take back, and, maybe flower seeds that I want to take back and grow them for the summer in Wyoming? Now, of course, they're not going to be perennials, but that's okay. I don't have to just grow perennials. So there can be perennials that I grow, but they're not going to survive the winters in Wyoming. And that's okay. Living Miracle Homestead, good evening. I hope you're having a lovely day. A great Monday for a start of a fabulous week. That's what I was telling my members this morning, because I always do a Monday morning members video. And so there are a few things. There are some perennial flowers that I'm saving the seeds. Like I have these, they're almost a mixture of orange and yellow together. And it looks like a trumpet, and the hummingbirds really like it. And it comes back. It's a perennial here. And so I save some of those seeds. And so I am going to, oh, who would this be? This would be Joe. He's the one who said, you should have a moon in your background. So that's funny. Which month do we go back? We will go back in April and towards the end of April, but it just really depend on snowstorms, because we always like a 3 to 5 day window that it looks like it's going to be pretty good weather, because we have to go through a lot of states to get back to Wyoming. And so we have to look at how all the roads go, and then we'll just pick a day and we'll go home. It's not like we have to be home on a certain day. And so it'll just be fine. Joe, everybody's saying hi to you. It looks like a werewolf moon. That's right. Miss Sandy, there is a flower called moon something, and it's supposed to bloom when there's a full moon. Do you have that flower there too? Well, we do have ones that open up at nighttime that are moon flowers. They're very much like a trumpet. They're big white. And actually, Bunky, off the top of my head, I cannot think of what that they're called. Maybe I'll think about it during our conversation. But I'm going to save some of those. Then we have a plant that I've shown in different videos because it's about 7 feet tall, and it's called a popcorn plant. And so I'm showing this to my sister and her husband, Casey. And I said, just run your hands because the flowers, it keeps making flowers. And so it's a tall stalk. And I said, just run your hand over it and then smell your hand. It'll smell like popcorn. And they're thinking, no, it's not going to smell like popcorn. But it does. It smells exactly like buttered popcorn. And so that was just totally fun. My parents grow moonflowers and they track the wolf moth. Oh, see, fun, fun, fun. And are your moonflowers that your parents grew, were they the big white ones that look like a big trumpet? So just write that in the comments. And then I'm saving citrus seeds. And I've already actually started planting citrus seeds. And I showed a video on, I think it was January 15th, that I showed that first video. And look at these little, let me see. Oh, see, I have a green screen on, so I have to get it right in the right position because this is green and see how it disappears? It disappears right there. It's invisible. So I am growing lemon trees. And actually 39 of them are up now. I can't just do a few. I had to do a whole tray full of them. So that's something I'm growing from seed. Oh, Paul is here. Hey, Paul, how are ya? Thanks for coming in. My live is way later than usual, but family stuff. And so I appreciate all you guys coming in. And Blue is here. Hello, how are ya? I hope you guys are doing good. Now, one of the other things, sorry, phone making noises. I grew amaryllises at Christmas time, right? And so I cross-pollinated them because I like to cross-pollinate plants and see if I can get a different colored flower. And so this is what the seeds look like. Let me see if I can get that right in there so you can see it. See how that is? That is, it's got this papery part on the outside and the seed is actually inside there. But when you plant that, you don't take the paper off. And so I have a whole stack full of them. And so you can sow them, propagate them two different ways. You can just sprinkle them on top of water, and you have to just keep the water, make sure you keep enough water. And I don't ever actually exchange the water, but I do add water to it. And the roots will start to come straight down. So let me grab one of these. Okay, so it's laying like this, flat, and the root will come down here. And at that point, it gets about an inch and a half long. You can just plant it right into some soil, or you can leave it in for a little bit longer and it will send the plant up and then plant it. And Tina Ladybug is here. Hi, Tina. How are ya? So nice of you to come in. And so I have some floating on water right now. And these ones, you let them dry for a few days. I'm going to plant tomorrow in soil. And so what I usually try to do is I want a really fine soil. It doesn't actually have to be soil. It could be like a seed starter that doesn't actually have any nutrients at first. You can put it in there, lay the seeds flat, and then sprinkle it over with vermiculite or perlite and keep it moist but not soggy. And they will just start to grow. And if you do a lot of them in a tray, it'll at first will look like grass is growing up. And then you can just take them out and put them in their individual pots. And it takes from the time that you have the seed to when you're actually going to have a bloom on that amaryllis, easily 4 years. But you just have to be patient. And it's a whole fun process of watching it get bigger and bigger every year. And so that's just something to do. Now, one of the other things I'm going to plant before I leave, because I had gotten, last fall, I showed you how I plant my garlic, how I soak it, how I plant it. And so it's all planted last fall in my beds, my garden beds. And a little fish in the kitchen. Hello, how are ya? Thanks for coming by. Joe was so funny. Now he has telescopes. It's because he's looking at the moon. So anyway, I planted all this garlic. Well, there was still some garlic coming that came. It actually got forwarded down here. And so I have had it in the refrigerator, in the crisper, in brown paper bags this whole time. And so I'm actually going to plant these in some trays, in cells. And so that when I get back, they should probably, by the time we get back, they'll probably be a foot tall. And then I can just take that and just plant those different places. And I'm actually going to take all of these ones and plant them around my fruit trees. One of the things that is really good about growing garlic around fruit trees, a lot of the bugs don't like that odor. And so it's a deterrent, which is really good if you have aphids and different things that come onto your fruit trees. You just plant garlic all the way around it. And some of them, I have garlic already, and it just comes up. Another thing you can plant around them is daffodils, and that will protect them too. So about 14 likes short. Hit the thumbs up and help Sandi out. Oh, Doug, you are so nice. I tell you. So let me pop that off of there. Oh, Teresa's going to start okra inside. Transplant later to try and get a head start of it, because it takes a while to grow okra. It's a long season plant. Now, one of the other things I'm doing here is these are sweet potatoes. Oh, that green screen just drives me crazy when I put something green in front of it. Let me see if I go this way. Can you see that better? Anyway, so see all these roots that I'm going to plant these in containers this week. And then I can just take them home. And that way, for sure, I will have sweet potatoes, big sweet potatoes, instead of little tiny sweet potatoes in my garden this year. I have potatoes that I showed that I had chitted. I know, don't you love sweet potatoes? I love them beyond words. So, sorry, switching subjects. You know me. Oh, so I have my potatoes. In fact, I'm going to show you a little portion of my garden because it shows the potatoes that are coming up through the soil in the big pot. So let me put that on the screen. So I was just walking down part of my garden today with snapdragons, different flowers. I'm saving some snapdragons. But see, the potatoes are coming up. And look at all these eggplants. Now, this eggplant is from last year. It oversummered, which is shocking because I didn't think the eggplant, I knew this was chard would do it, but I didn't realize that the eggplant would summer when it was 110 degrees. It does get water every 2 days in that flower bed. So that's kind of nice. Do you have to rent a U-Haul in order to get plants back to Wyoming? No, I am a very good packer. Blue says, I so want to grow sweet potatoes. I eat so many of them, but they are still fairly cheap. So that keeping the space we have for an expensive stuff. See, that's always a predicament when you have limited space with your gardens. What things can I buy at the farmer's market or at Sprouts or a store like that? Or maybe a neighbor grows it and you can get some of theirs in exchange for something. It's always interesting what you have to decide. But last year, before I left, I chitted my regular potatoes, and then I put them in a box that was lined in actually just a garbage bag, because when I watered it, I didn't want it leaking out when we were taking them back to Wyoming. And I did it in March. And then no, actually, last year I didn't do it till April, I think, because we weren't coming back until May because my dad was having surgery. So I'm going to chip my potatoes in March because we're going back in April. And when I did it last year, by the time we went to plant, there was just this beautiful root system, not too tangled, but easily to pull, tease out. And I planted them, and it was just fabulous. Oh my gosh, look who's here. Monty's in motion. Day, how are ya? I haven't seen you for a while. I hope everything is good with you and your husband and your son, and I hope you're having a fabulous day. Trees has the idea you can grow them on a fence that's in a spot like a barrel, or grow them layered. That is true. Oh, our fence has a vertical strawberry bed. I've tried to grow strawberries in rain gutters, but our summer, the sun can be really intense. And even though I'd water them every single day, they just never grew like they grew in the ground. And so I put those out, and now I put succulents in those rain gutters instead. But it just depends on how your weather is and how the sun hits that area. But for me, where I could put those, it just didn't work. It was just too hot for my strawberries. But I think it's a great idea. I see that on the internet and in posts, and I like the idea of that. But it works really good for succulents. And a lot of the succulents just come back. And so I'm just sporadically inputting something else. Sometimes I'll put some violets in there with them. And, oh, Dave says, great. So busy. Thank you. Wonderful to see. It is great to see you guys here. Thank you. And one of the other things I planted, I had poinsettias at Christmas time. Now, we are zoned so that we can grow poinsettias year round. Now, a poinsettia that you get in the store, even a big one, it's very tall, it's very thin, but when they grow in the ground and they grow for years and years, they make this fabulous bush. And then you have poinsettias all over the place. So I planted my poinsettias in the ground. So we'll see how they do through the next summer and how big they get and how they grow until we come back next year. And if they don't do good, I'll pull them out. If they do great, it will be fabulous. And so I'm kind of excited about all of those things. I have grown the garlic in trays and then transplanted them. Sometimes you'll get somebody that gives you some garlic. These are all hardneck garlics. If it was softneck garlic, I just would plant them when I got back. But because they're hardneck and I need them to I need them to start growing before I get back. That's what I'm going to do. Now, I am hopefully next week, I will get some rootstock, and I already got the scions, and I'm going to graft some apple trees. And I'm actually going to do these ones for sale. And I have different varieties of scions. And so I'm going to do that whole process. And I'm actually going to keep them all in 5-gallon buckets. And I won't transplant them into pots until I get back to Wyoming. But it will give them a good time of healing the graft, because where I'm going to sit them, they will be warm but not hot, not direct sun. And I'll show you that whole process. And grafting any kind of fruit tree is just beyond fun. It is just amazing how you're making your own fruit tree. And I'm going to do apples. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. When they get back, when we get back to Wyoming, I'm going to pot them up. I have an area that I'm going to put all those pots by the greenhouse. And I'll make sure that they're all healed up. And by fall time, I am going to sell those apple trees. And I'll probably give a couple of them away. So that should be fun. Yeah, that's right. Sandi Appleseed. Except for Johnny Appleseed. He liked hard cider. He liked cider apples. And most people don't realize that. They would mash the apple up. And because apples are not true to their parents, they take traits from both of their parents, but you can never have the exact same apple. And most of the time, when you just plant from the seed, not always, but a lot of the time, the apple is very tart, which makes great hard cider. And that's what he was promoting more. Though when you read the storybooks about Johnny Appleseed, you think he's just growing regular apple trees. But for the most part, that wasn't true. He wanted them to be hard cider apples. So it's kind of fun. You make me tired hearing all your planting. I'm jealous a tiny bit. Oh, Anne, it won't be. You'll be planting. I tell you. Now, there are a few things I really like to paint. And some of you guys know I'm in that big art show this weekend. And so I wanted to paint some little paintings. I wanted to paint some big paintings. And so I made these little 4x4s because I like painting food. I like painting toys. I like painting vegetables, flowers, things like that. So let me show you a couple of them that I made. Okay, so it's going to turn invisible, isn't it? It's hard to see with the green screen. Anyway, radishes. That's so funny that it wants, look at it. The entire thing wants to disappear. Green screens are crazy. And the other one is a strawberry. But look at the green part is disappearing because it's on a green screen. I find that just so crazy. Anyway, so I did a bunch of those and I did these fun little, look at that. Things are disappearing. They're magnets. It doesn't matter if I put my hand up or not. Part of it disappears. Let me see if the blue ones will do the same thing. Oh, see, the blue ones don't. Only little parts where there's little parts of green. But anyway, they're magnets, and so I'm going to have those at the art show. But I thought I'd probably give next Monday. I'll probably give some away if I don't sell them all. So funny, I tell you. Let me see. No, that helps with your hand. Oh, okay. On my end, it looks like it's like still showing parts invisible. That's the funniest thing about the green screen, because anything that I show that's green wants to disappear. So I just find that crazy and silly. But tell me, are you guys ready to have a spring garden? Have you how much are they? Oh, I'm going to sell the magnets for $10 a piece. I'd probably sell all of them. I just thought, down here, a lot of people live in park models or small mobile homes or RVs. And I just thought, well, that's something, it's desert scenes. I thought they would be fun, So I just thought it would be good. But a lot of you will be able to start your spring gardens as at least brassicas and stuff in the end of March. Now, I can't do that in Wyoming. I could if I put mini cold frames, high tunnels over top of them, then I could. But I won't start planting until the end of April. When we get home, it'll just be like, bam, you got to start going. And like Blue is already planting the garden, and we'll start seeds this week. See, that's pretty normal. People, if they haven't already started, they are about to start sowing those seeds, putting them under lights or in windows or windowsills. Teresa says, yes, I can't wait for spring. I planted daffodils today just to get my hands in the dirt for a bit. How fun. Don't you love daffodils? Now, deer do not like daffodils. And so they're a good plant to plant and have early flowers, because where a deer would eat a tulip, it won't eat a daffodil. And moles and voles, they don't like daffodils either, where they'll eat the underneath of a tulip. They'll eat that bulb. I don't get to even start seeds until the end of April. Second week of June is when things can go into the ground. Oh, see, that's a very short season. And I would have a much harder time, because you could never grow sweet potatoes. I mean, I have a hard enough time with sweet potatoes now. I can get little teeny sweet potatoes, but I don't get any fat ones. Hence, I'm rooting them right now. Oh, Dorothy says that the daffodils are already blooming near her. Anne has already started prepping the garden, but haven't dropped a seed yet. It's coming though. And what is the temperature at night at your house right now? Is it 40 or 45, 50 degrees at night, or is it cooler than that? Doug got huge sweet potatoes. I'm so jealous. Monkey has started onions, peas, broccoli, cabbage, and lettuce. I will start peppers in March. See, it's the perfect time to be gardening, to start, and it's always it makes you so excited about the garden season when you start putting those seeds under the lights or in your window. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's almost here. We get snow on 4th of July. Welcome to Northern Nevada. You never know. So it's why things don't go into the ground until the second week of June. Do you guys have a greenhouse? I don't remember if you've ever said if you have a greenhouse or not. Oh, Anne says that she always puts her tomatoes in pots, but was thinking of the paper towel method to get the seeds going. How do you start your tomatoes? Temperatures in the high 30s at night. So it is pretty cool to be planting yet. I usually, like when I save the seeds, not that I don't ever just dry them, because sometimes I do, but most of the time I put them in the water and let it ferment in the water, so that I only save the seeds that are viable. And so after those dry, I just put 2 or 3 in each little hole that I make, and I can always thin them out later. But I just basically start them in seed starting or some potting soil. I like to mix a lot of vermiculite or perlite with it, just so those little tiny roots are just free to go all over the place. Nope, no greenhouse. People put up those plastic ones. I watch them blow away 120 miles an hour. Yeah, that's tough. Doug says that the daffodils were fully bloomed last week. Oh, I just love daffodils. When I get home, the daffodils and the tulips, well, the daffodils will all be up by the end of April. And then some of the tulips, because some of the tulips are a little bit earlier than some of the other ones. And several years ago, I threw out tulips and daffodil bulbs all over the yards and on the hills and everything. And wherever they landed, I just dug them in and planted them. And it is just so fun to watch when they come up in the springtime, because on the one food forest hill, it's just tulips everywhere. And I just love it. Blue just puts her tomatoes in seed trays. I think that's the best part to do it. Dorothy is in South Arkansas. So you must be pretty close to almost planting season too. Teresa says, since learning about soaking some seeds before planting, I have been doing that with, I think it was peppers and okra. Yeah, I like to soak my seeds the day before. I start with some lukewarm water. Now, of course, the water is not going to stay lukewarm. but it does help it with the sprouting of it. And so that's always a good thing. And so I always try to do that. Doug's got to get his beauty sleep. Doug, thanks for stopping in. I know it's late for you, so I appreciate it. And everybody's saying goodnight to Doug. That's nice. But I'm excited about the garden season. I already have lists of things to do when I get home. Like, I really didn't use my greenhouse last year. We had moved all the stuff that was in my shed. A lot of it we just stored in there because I made it into my art studio. And I was just so busy, I just didn't get it done. And so one of the first things, even if it's cold, I can go out there because the greenhouse will be warm. And I'm just going to go through and because I have a lot of my beehive stuff in there too, and I'm just going to get that all out of there. And so I want to really utilize that. Actually want to grow watermelons in there. So, and my peppers always grow better there too. And the place that I grew my peppers last year is all planted in garlic, so I can't plant, and that's a pretty good spot too. Blue says I soak pepper and chili seeds in tea because it helps break down that outer casing. I have not tried soaking them in tea, but I could see that the tannins in that tea, I could see how that could help with the breakdown on that outer coating. So I am going to try that, Blue. Thank you for that tip. We are getting chickens again, and they're actually going to let us have a few rabbits too. And so I'm totally excited about that. So one of my goals in Wyoming this year is to build some rabbit cages, and I'm going to do a chicken tractor also, so that some of the days I can just take some of the chickens out and move them different places. I've had really a trouble with these. They're a tiny worm that only affect my gooseberries. Now, it doesn't affect the fruit at all, but they can just defoliate the leaves in a matter of days. And for the last few years, I've had them. So last year, Joe and I just took turns. We were just picking them off, giving them to the chickens. And I thought, I think I'm just going to make a thing that the chickens can come around because it's not very far from where their run is and stuff. And I'll just block it off. And I'm just going to let them eat those little worms if they come back. And I'm just totally excited about that. I know, Anne, I'm excited because I love rabbit poo for my gardens. A friend of ours has horses, and they have a big arena, and people learn to barrel race and do all these different things with horses. And so they have piles and piles and piles because they board horses too. And so a lot of times I get the horse manure that it's mixed with straw. It's aged years. And so I'm going to get a bunch of that because I need to just put them, you just got to keep renewing your soil. That's all there is to it. And so it's just one of the things that are on my list of things to get done when we first get back there. Chickens are hilarious. They're one of the best things to have ever. And Anne is going to have chickens this year, and so I'm excited about her having chickens. I use water with peroxide. I have heard of that many times. There are a few things that I spray a mixture of water, hydrogen peroxide, when my seedlings are coming up. It can really help them and boost them. It helps soften the outer shell also. I'll do some tea this year. I'm going to try that too, because I had not even thought about using tea, but that really makes sense to me. Do you get weed seeds from the horse manure? No. They're very particular of the hay and straw that they use. It's very organic because people pay them to wash their horses. And horses in Wyoming, they are not cheap horses in Wyoming. Parents are paying what you pay for a car for their kids as horses. And so they're very careful what they feed those horses that they board. And so I haven't ever had trouble with weeds from them. And so it's very nice. My coop goes from 13 to 45 this year. Whoa. And is getting chickens, and she can't wait. I heard her talking the other day, and she was just so excited about getting chickens. And I thought, oh, those are going to be fun videos. Blue says, black tea only, no milk and sugar. That's right. Though the sugar probably wouldn't hurt them. The milk, that's questionable. But I hope you guys have a list already started of things you want to do, things that you want to do right away. Because some things, like if you're growing onions from seed, you need to be planting those, or I've already planted those, to start those seeds. It's time to plant your tomatoes and peppers, all your brassicas. Now, I wouldn't plant depending on when you can plant into the garden, but like for us, I wouldn't plant squashes, pumpkins, watermelon seeds until in April sometime. And even I'll probably won't plant mine until I get back, because I can wait until the end of May, the first part of June, to actually plant them out, because the soil will be warmer. And so you got plenty of time to get all that stuff done, that you don't have to plant every single thing next week. You just don't have to. You have a horse on a license plate after all. We do. Wyoming does have a horse. The bucking horse. It's trademark. If you want to use it, you have to get permission from the university and from the state. They have this thing that you fill out if you want to use the bucking horse. But they're pretty liberal but you just have to register. You have to tell them what you want to do with it, and then they're okay with it. Anne says it's going to be great, I hope. And chickens are so entertaining. It is just crazy. I'd actually like it. Am I at 42 minutes? I gotta go. I'd like to have some quail, but I'm going to settle just with my chickens. But everybody, thanks so much, and thanks for coming in late when I had family dinner, and it's a busy week with my sister and my brother-in-law, my aunt, and my uncle here, plus just life. And I got my art show Friday and Saturday. So Friday night with Late Night with Nana, I will tell you all about my first day of that. But everybody, thanks for coming in. It was great to see all you guys. And remember, next Monday night, if I don't sell all these babies, I'm going to give some away, because I can just throw them in an envelope and send them out. So much fun. Thanks for all the tips and tricks that you guys shared with tonight too. So I will see all you guys next time. Bye, everybody. Joel, thanks for coming in.